my experience with hair, and probably that's why, because I wondered, why did I not know? I was so disassociated from it. And then after that was done, I would have to bend over the bathtub to get my hair in, and I did not enjoy that.
Quick disclaimer, this episode was filmed in a room with open windows and a child running around. It was at an event. So please be mindful of the audio quality not being the best. However, the conversation was super insightful. So please do stay and enjoy. Hello and welcome back to Source Okay. This is a podcast created to understand and elusify African knowledge and African people. Thank you very much for joining us today. We're at a hair talk, hair workshop, braiding workshop, and the aim is to kind of talk about hair and identity and how its hair forms our identity, especially as an African diaspora. So welcome everybody.
Okay. Well, a good place to start. I'm South American, so sure if I could still be part of the podcast. But hi, anyway. I got into hair about a year and a half ago at an Ivory Wild workshop, and it's all about education, hands-on learning, and figuring out how to look after your own hair. I was never taught, so it's something that I actively sought out, and now here I am doing events and teaching myself on the same team. So I'm excited to be here, and thank you for having me.
That's amazing.
Love that, Cece. I'm Rahma, and I unintentionally got into hair care after I decided to go natural. Then I didn't know why everyone had an opinion on it. I also didn't have any idea about what my hair was like until I was 14. And so I had so many questions, like, I'm ready to do my hair now. Where's all the information? And no one to answer it for me. So what I ended up doing was I started reading books. I attended lots of webinars. I met my co-founder, Mona, and we started Curls, Coils and Sisters to help the everyday, coily, textured and Muslim woman know how to take care of her hair. So we run events all around the country, literally teaching about ghusl, protective styling under the hijab, and just how to learn to manage and handle your hair in a way where my coach used to say it feels like brushing your teeth. So it shouldn't feel overwhelming anymore. And that's literally me in a nutshell. Oh yeah, and I run 4C Hijabi as well.
Yeah. Okay. So my name is Naima, and I got into hair care through Muna. Before that, I never knew how to manage my hair. I always had a hard time. My hair would never grow past a certain length. And then I came across your page. I think it's when Muna's page. So when she first started it up, and then that's when I learned how to put moisturizer. And I didn't know that's what my hair needed. I was just taught oil, and then that's it. So yeah, and then I started to moisturize my hair, and then I started to actually enjoy taking care of my hair. And then, yeah, my hair started to grow. I started to like my hair. And then, but yeah, so it's all thanks to Muna. Before that, I just didn't have a clue what I was doing.
Oh, hi, my name is Muna. I am also known as Covenant Kylie on Instagram, TikTok. My hair care started, to be honest, it started multiple times. There's not one journey, but I've always been into styling my hair and doing different things with my hair growing up. But the health of my hair was never something that I cared about. Maybe because I was young and didn't really know much. But it wasn't until 2020 when I actually decided that I wanted to really take care of my hair and I wanted to see it actually grow past the length that it was at. And it was also the time that I realized that I also had curly hair. And I think I was around my 20s, which is crazy because before that I was relaxing my hair. I was doing all sorts. So I didn't even know what the true texture of my hair was or curl pattern. So yeah, now I think I'm 5 years deep into my healthy hair care. I actually did a really big chop in May. So I don't actually have any. Yeah, but this time I actually completely evolved. But only because I think for me, I just always wanted to see and feel. Oh, music beat. Yeah, it feels great. I'm not gonna lie, but my hair's growing, alhamdulillah, and because I already know how to take care of my hair, when I was transitioning from heat damage and implementing new skills and new habits, I feel like I know how to take care of my hair now. And yeah, alhamdulillah, it's growing, it's healthy.
Can I just say you're doing a really good job at keeping your hijab flat?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
actually like growing like
Yeah.
with.
It's the awkward stage, isn't it?
exactly.
Yeah.
No, I really like your introduction already because like there's some bits I was like, oh, it's really good. Like the word like managing, we can kind of like I guess go into and why we use certain like negative words. And also we can go into like the mother-daughter relationship because sometimes like when a mother does hair for her child, it's like a bonding, but also it could be also traumatizing, just looking back as a child. But I also want to go into like hair and the link between hair and energy, and maybe you can look into like why you felt the need to cut your hair all the way. Was it like a stage in your life? But I guess we can like tweak into like different things and like how if you think there's a link between hair and energy and like, how your identity shifted. But first I wanted to like I guess talk about why I wanted to have this conversation. And I kind of like I think one day I was picture I was like hair has like a symbol in almost every religion. Like in Islam, it's usually covered, the men like have a beard and it's supposed to be like law. In Judaism, there's also a symbol. In Hinduism, there's a symbol. Like I was just wondering like why hair is such a thing in so many like religions. And I guess how that affects our identity and does it have power? What's the meaning? And I guess like if you can just talk about like that, why and it's something at the center stage in so many mainstream also aspects.
I think for me, I'm not religious, but it's a symbol of beauty, which I think if you go back probably has to do with maybe more fertility and general health overall. It shows whether or not you're healthy or not. And nowadays it's more about beauty. I've also done the big chop twice. um, and again, that like my reasoning for doing it, the first time I told myself I wanted to start fresh, but looking back, I had nothing to start fresh from. My hair was fine. And then the second time, it was because I wanted to be seen. I felt like there was a lot of focus when I had longer hair and I wasn't being heard. And I didn't like that. So I chopped it off. And the crazy thing is, I was heard more. So I guess I kind of proved myself right, which I didn't like. And now I just look at it in a different sense. I do it because I love my hair and I love this about my hair and I love the way it looks and I want it to be healthy for me. And I can see my old ways in other women and the younger generation. So, yeah, I think there's been a shift overall in how hair is viewed, but now there's even more of a shift on like looks. And yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about it. Not confident, but optimistic.
Why did you feel like it wasn't being heard when your hair was it not?
It was when it's braided, when it's just longer. I can't explain it. And it was definitely to do with men and the male gaze, but it's something you just feel. I didn't like it. And you can tell that that's the only reason that they're talking to you or paying any mind, because when I didn't have braids, I got a different response. And then when I shaved my head, I got an even different response to that. So it's weird viewing my hair through other people's eyes, I'd say. It's it's eye opening. It's eye opening.
Like your identity was different when you had like long hair braids versus like just actually you think you were actually the same person as people viewed you? Or do you think your identity actually shifted?
I think I was more confident based on how society viewed me. They saw me as more attractive, so I felt more confident. But then that made me feel bad when I had to take out my braids. And then it pushed me to the point where I shaved my head. So, it's I would say it's nice because it does protect your hair. It is a protective style and the environment really gets to my hair. I think especially being in this country, it gets to my hair. I talk about it a lot. When I first arrived, I lost a lot of hair and had a lot of growths on my head just from existing in this oxygen. So to go from that to then growing up and my hair growing, and I've always loved my afro, but the way people viewed it has always changed over time. And that affected my confidence, how I viewed myself. And then I had to break out of all of that, just be like, I don't care. I don't care. And yeah, practice makes progress. Yeah.
Like you mentioned about delivery. Yeah, I think it was doing it for other people. Like you felt like you were styling your hair for like as I said,
Yeah.
male gains, but also just because you thought that doing your hair in a certain way was befitting for other people.
Yeah.
And it made me realize that even as hijabis, that women who wear the hijab, we also have that mindset that because our hair is covered, that nobody's going to see it other than myself or my family member. And I don't really care how it looks. I don't care if it's styled or how it's styled. Like, I think, and that's why myself and Ratma created Culture This is why we created our own individual pages, because we need to have that positive representation from hijabis as well to make them feel like you can do your hair underneath the hijab because you are going to see it and you should feel beautiful the way that you are and not for other people's opinion. And I think also it's really important because growing up, I feel like I would style my hair differently. I would do all these different things. But did I really have my hair? Probably not. And I think the older that I got and started to really like understand my hair from a hair care perspective, like, when you're taking care of your hair or taking care of something, I feel like you start to care for it more. You start to understand it more. And I think that's another thing that we need to also encourage. And especially for those who wear the hijab, I'm probably going to refer back to that a lot because I know so many people, even like my friends, family members, who just don't do much to their hair because they don't feel like they have to. And I think personally, I think that's wrong. I think you should be able to do it for yourself and feel comfortable with the hair that you have. Um, and as most of us know, our hair is an amana, which is basically a trust of Allah. And that means Allah expects us to take care of ourselves and beautify ourselves for ourselves. So yeah, for our
No, I think that's really interesting that you mentioned that some women don't do their hair under their hijabi. I think that a lot about wigs and weaves. It's less of a protective style these days. It's more they don't care about what's underneath. And that's you. You're what's underneath. You're what's holding that style in. And there's less concern for that than there is for the protective style. So is it still a protective style if you're not taking care of what's underneath, if you're not protecting it? So I think it's really interesting that women cover their hair but don't look after what's there.
I know, I mean, I don't want to say all employees, but I think
No, not all women, yeah.
there is that mindset. You said like wearing wigs. I think you use it as a way to cover, or at the same time, sometimes to consider what's going on underneath the hijab. When you're neglecting your hair, it shows up and it even affects how you feel about yourself. So that's why I always try to tell my sisters to just do even the bare minimum, which could be just washing your hair. Because sometimes that can be a struggle, and keeping up with that can also encourage you to take care of your hair, to love your hair. Because it's so easy to hate your hair when there's that beauty standards. Also, when you don't have a routine, like we all feel good when we do our skincare, when we do our hair care, when we do our makeup. But we also just need to remember that it's for us and just make sure that that's yeah.
And just to kind of touch on what you said about neglect, when I did a survey in April 2023, so far it's been responded by over 2,700 Black and Muslim women around the world. And I noticed some interesting trends. Neglect was a big one. However, and also hair anxiety was a big one. One of the questions I asked was, how do you feel afraid or are you anxious about showing your hair to your spouse for the first time? Because that would be the first time that for a lot of Muslim women, once again, this male centering thing is also something we're going to talk about. Yeah. But it is a moment where a Muslim woman feels a little bit vulnerable because the first time that she's exposing to her hair to a man that she wants to make, she wants to feel like she is beautiful. And I noticed that the hair anxiety was a lot more in Western countries than it was in non-Western countries. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I also did was I called my brother and my sister-in-law over. My sister-in-law grew up here. My brother grew up in Nigeria, Kuwait, and obviously here as well. And all the women in my family are also natural. And I asked my sister-in-law, I said, did you have any anxiousness about showing your hair to my brother for the first time? And she said, yeah. I looked at my brother and was like, what were you thinking? He was like, well, I have women in my family who all wear natural hair, so I already knew what to expect. And so I was fine. And that was very enlightening because it made me realize we often talk about the impact of the media on hair care for girls, but we don't really talk about the impact on boys, especially within the home and what they expect to see. There was this perception in the survey that a lot of women with tight coils thought and felt that men want straighter hair, that this is what men desire. And I think it depends culture to culture. I mean, you talked about the negative stereotyping and where do these words come from? I think it comes from, like you said, hair being it's for adornment. That's what it grew to be. Obviously, initially, maybe for biological purposes to keep us warm, but over time, that's what it grew to be. To culture, religion or no religion, that was the purpose of hair. It was just to adorn ourselves. And I think that, as you said, it also became something for mating as well. I don't know if that word sounds weird, but pretty much it was a signifier of health, because we also know with hair care science that if you are deficient in a nutrient, one of the first places it usually does show as well is your hair. If you're very stressed, it will also show up in your hair. So I think in a lot of cultures, it grew to be more than just a piece of adornment. It grew to be a signifier for, I know I'm Yoruba, status. Some hairstyles even denote whether you're happy or not with your spouse. So we have like koju soko. I've mentioned this on like Paige's podcast before, and like literally different hairstyles, one for a queen. And so it denotes, like, it becomes a symbolism for so much more than just hair. And in that way, that's both a good thing and a bad thing. And I think currently in the Western world, where we're still moving away from some of the negative stereotypes of blackness, and our hair has been tangled in the web of that. And we're, I think, only in the process of taking it out. I think there'll still be some lingering negative perceptions. But like I said, I'm so glad that we're creating spaces like this, saying of your podcast, Curls, Quiz and Sisters, Ivy Wild. I think that they are very, very important in order to shift that narrative. My own personal belief, and this is more of a faith-based approach, is Allah said they couldn't even create a fly. Like, you can't even create a strand of hair. Who are you to judge me and talk to me about my hair? Like, I am part of the beauty that God has put on earth. And every single one of us is part of the beauty of that diversity. And so who are you to come and tell me you can't create a fly? You can't create a fly, and you can't create this hair. Who are you to look down on it? So I think that for me, that's where my beauty is rooted in, rather than being male centered. And I always say beauty changes with the wind, because that's how societies move, that's how culture moves, and our hair would move with it. You've got to be able to feel beautiful within yourself, and appreciate what you have. And I'll just end it with, if there's anything, if I ever feel very anxious about my hair, whatever, I just ask myself, 60 years from now, 70 years from now, whatever, if my hair starts to fall out, I don't know if we'll make a magic pill that will not make hair fall out, but if it does, would I look back at this moment and wish I wasn't so bothered about my hair, then my hair was absolutely fine? Like, this is, as a Muslim, and a man, it's a trust. I will take care of it. I will love every inch of my body, because this body, this vessel, is all I have to live on this earth. And I want it to last me 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years from now. Who am I to look down and tear myself down because of mandem people and whatnot? But yeah, I think a lot of the negative stereotypes come with culture, politics, religion, and hair will always be tied up in all of those things. But yeah, that's my point.
I loved what you said about your hair is a flower and you can't even create a fly.
You can't, yeah, exactly.
One thing that got me to love my hair was realizing it cannot be recreated. I was like, you would need the tiniest little curling tongs and so much patience to recreate this. Like, I could straighten it if I wanted to. I'm not going to, but I could. But it's just realizing how unique it is and how much it can do and its strengths that got me to love it. So yeah, I resonate a lot with what you just said. It is so unique.
So growing up in a Somali household, I don't know if you can relate, Muna, but we were always told that leaving your hair out is messy, or you're not presentable. So obviously I'm married. So when my mom comes over and my hair is out, mom's like, oh, you're in front of him like this. And I'm like, yeah. So I always thought that my hair is less presentable if it's like just out the way it is in its natural state. So there's always, I still do feel like there's still that pressure of having my hair just neatened in some way, even if it's like just gelled down or just out of the way, you know, because I feel like if my hair is out, it's messy, you know. So I always thought it was something to kind of like conceal, and I am still navigating that. My husband, he's Moroccan, and they have a completely different hair texture. So I think in the beginning, I felt on edge, you know, just kind of like just leaving my hair out. I always felt the need to like, you know, blow dry my hair or have it straight, just so I feel like it's easier to manage as well. And to be honest, I still kind of feel like that as well, because it's just a lot of maintenance for me right now, especially because I have two babies. I don't have time for my hair. Yeah, I was going to go into another point, but I was going to go into postpartum hair loss as well. Um, yeah. So of course, like right now, I feel like I should be spending more time on my hair, more so now than ever, because I, my hair is just falling out everywhere. You know, I have like bald patches, and I feel like it's even more of a reason for me to cover my hair. So I just kind of fell out of love with my hair. Yeah. So it's just a hot mess right now. But yeah. Sorry, going back to the point, I'm so sorry. Like my mum telling me that my hair is like not manageable. There's nothing against her, you know. We grew up like my mum would braid our hair, do cornrows under a hijab when we'd go to school and stuff, and it was just like a weekly thing. So I just didn't know what to do outside of that. So I cut all of my hair off just because I just didn't know I just didn't know how to manage it. Well, my mum just stopped cornrowing my hair when we reached a certain age. Um,
It's a really good point on like, I guess how you see yourself with your hair,
mhm.
and now does that affect your confidence even though it's covered? Do
Of
you think you still?
Yeah, of course. So growing up, I didn't really have a lot of Somali friends growing up. So a lot of like parties or whatnot were invitations from my non-Somali friends, and some of them are Iraqi. A lot of them are Iraqis, and we had a completely different hair texture. Their hair was straight. So going to just parties, I always felt like I just really dreaded the fact that I'd have to like, you know, take my hijab off, because I'd be the odd one out if I did. I'd be the odd one out if I didn't, you know? Um, so yeah.
Looking at how like your mum did your hair, and I guess
hmm
that time was like a bonding period. But then I guess after the transition, when she stopped doing your cornrows or your hijab, and I guess you're left to your own devices.
hmm
How does that like impact, I guess, your relationship with your daughter with her hair? And I guess is there anything that you think has passed down in the relationship?
Yeah, 100%. It's not more. I've never seen it as like bonding time. You know, it was just, to be honest, I feel like it was more traumatic because of my hair texture, and it was just like, okay, I just need to brush, and then I was just like, ow, like it hurts, and I actually, because right now I'm more aware. I know how to kind of like take care of her hair. So I use moisturizer. Before, my mom would just use oil, you know, and when it dries, it dries. It's just you're using oil, and then you're just kind of like brushing it out. But now I know what to do, and it is like thanks to Muna. Like I had no clue before I even followed her page. So yeah, I wet it now. I use moisturizer, and then I will like brush slowly, starting from the ends. So I implement that on her, and right now she's 2.5, so she still doesn't know how to. I'm trying my hardest, like not to inflict any pain on her. So I do it like really slowly and stuff. But sometimes she just like it hurts her, you know. Yeah, she just doesn't like me pulling on her hair at all or anything. I try to do it as like soft as like I don't know, I try to do it as soft as
Yeah.
I can, but yeah, so right now we don't use it as a bonding time. I know that it's a bit traumatic for her. It is a chore for me. Yeah, I'm like, oh, I have to do her hair. Wash day's a chore. She hates her hair, like water in her hair. She hates that. So right now, Rahma gave me a very good idea on like, you know, getting a doll and then washing the doll's hair, and then just kind of like just small things that will really help her. Like look forward to like getting her hair washed or having her hair done. And I also want to like let her just do something to my hair, wash my hair, you know. So maybe that way, maybe we can create like a little bonding time out of that, you
Yeah.
know. So yeah, I definitely want it to be a bonding time between me and my daughter, because it wasn't for me and my mum. It was just like, yeah.
Yeah. I think one of the questions was gonna be like, what is one of your earliest memories with your hair? But I guess it could be relating to your mum doing your hair, or was it kind of like the first time you realized your hair is different than other people's hair?
My mum, that was actually my core memory, is my mum doing my hair, you know? And we had no, my mum, we wouldn't do like just ponytails or no soft styles. It was just like straight cornrow. And that's why I associate pain with cornrow. I associate a lot of pain with it. So I don't really have any positive memories like growing up. Yeah, it wasn't until my early 20s when I had the big chop. And then that was like, and then even then I didn't really know what to do with it. I just thought, okay, I'll just keep cutting it just so I just don't have to deal with it and it's just out of the way. Yeah, so only recently I just learned how to like, I need to put moisturizer in and how to brush my hair, protective style. I did not know what that was before.
Can I just add to what you're saying? And first, I want to say mothers are really, I think people think influencers are really the big ones in this whole changing the hair narrative, but no, it's mothers.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say, and also Allah Mubarak, because it's not easy trying to change generational patterns when it comes to just anything in general, talk much of hair care, and also not having all the tools you need to do that. And you are trying to actively look for those tools. I mean, you're here today and you're actively trying to change. It's not easy, but very, very well done. I also want to say, just from knowing the mothers I've worked with and everything you've talked about, your hair experience, I know for me, my first memory with my hair, the earliest I remember is relaxer burning my scalp. I do not remember prior to being 14 years old whether or not I actually had natural hair. So I was saying the first time I realized I had coily hair was 14, because that was the first time I actually had to do my hair on my own. Someone else would always do it. And so I remember like picking scabs up from my hair. I remember feeling very uncomfortable. It wasn't always my mum who did my hair. There was always an auntie or someone who would do it, a maternal figure of some sort. And they would say, your hair is very strong. We have to leave it until, it starts to pain a little bit. And so my experience with hair, and probably that's why, because I wondered, why did I not know? I was so disassociated from it. And then after that was done, I would have to bend over the bathtub to get my hair in. And I did not enjoy that because my knees would hurt, my back would hurt. The only thing I just remember seeing pink, just waiting for the pink to become white so that I could like sit up and stuff. So I did not enjoy hair care. And if I have to be very honest, I do say this. I wore hijab at a very, very young age because I wanted to. I was surrounded by women that I was in a place where there was a lot of racism. And that space where I was surrounded by women who wore hijab was like a sister's halaqah lecture space. I could be myself and I was not judged, and there were all races around me. So I chose to, at a very young age, I was about 9 or 10, to wear hijab. But there was a little part of me that thought, maybe I'll also get away with not having to do my hair, because I just did not enjoy that experience. I was just so disassociated from it. So I think to the mothers today, you are doing amazing. You might not have everything figured out yet. And to be honest as well, one thing a lot of us are not accounting for is the cultural shift in Black hair care. And the current shift is towards a desire for length. When in a lot of African, West African, even some East African cultures as well, the main desire with hair care was grooming. No, there was none of this losing edges, even if the edges were lost because we're doing tight cornrows. There was no, also hair care was more so less manipulation. I could wear the same style every single day and nobody would comment on it in the past. Whereas now, we want to do every single thing with our hair. We want to do A, we want to do B, we want to do C. So I would like for everyone to just give themselves a little bit of grace, because the shift from cultural practices that prioritized styling, and just to illustrate that a little bit more, I was speaking to a stylist once, me and Mona, when we were in Clubhouse days, and she was saying, she was American, and she believed the secret to growing long hair was in Africa and that was kept away from them. And she said she went to Ghana to go and try and see, okay, they have some oil or whatever to grow their hair. And what she found is they were asking her what she did. And I said to her, it's because culturally, length was not a signifier for beauty. In a lot of West African cultures, I can speak for that. Whereas, so what you will find is our tools are about creating intricate shapes and patterns like ilaro to like part the braid very neatly. That was our signifier of beauty. Length is new, especially for tight coils. Most of the time we used to groom it by braiding it. Now we want to straighten, we want to do a whole bunch of other things. So you will find some things difficult. Your mother would find some things difficult when we're trying to conform to today's modern beauty ideals. The desire for length with tight coils and still trying to approach it from a cultural perspective. If you want to retain length, you can't be doing the same type of braids you were doing culturally. You have to adjust them. And there's a lot of adjustment going on. There's adjustment in our brain, avoiding pain. That's a generational thing that we are trying to go back away from. So stopping pain from, doing your child's hair in a very painful way. You are trying to adjust your mentality towards your hair texture based on our generation's, the imprint from the media on what our hair is and all the negative stereotypes. You are trying to fit into, especially as hijabis, when we're in a gathering of other non-black hijabis and we're taking our hair off, we are trying to fit into, like, I guess, an Arabized version of beauty, but also maintaining our own. And there's so much going on. So give yourself some grace and pace yourself as you are learning to navigate all of this. And at the root of it should always be, always, always, always be yourself and what will be best for the positive path that you want to take when it comes to your hair. There's a behavioral science to the whole thing. It's hair, but it's deeper than that. It's not just hair. But yeah, give yourself some grace. And mothers, well done. Well done. You are doing so much. And I'll go back to what my brother said. When he had no issue with my sister-in-law having tight coils, she could have locks tomorrow and that would not be a problem for him. He would still find it beautiful. And I will reiterate what he said. I had no issue because that is what the women in my family had. So yeah, mothers, you are very, very important.
My earliest memory, the hot comb. The hot comb. That's my earliest memory, is that comb. It's sitting so still so it didn't touch me. The burning relaxer. It wasn't until about a month ago that I found out I was never going to look like the girl on the box and that she wore a wig. I was shook. Yeah, I know. I really found out late. Yeah, that is my earliest memory. And I always knew my hair was different because other girls had the swish and the hair down, and I had bobbles. And if it wasn't in bobbles being held down, it was up. Um, but outside of that, I think I really dissociated from myself as a Black woman and my hair. And it wasn't until I caught myself in the mirror or my reflection or someone looked at me that I realized, oh, okay, yeah, I'm not like everyone around me. I was brought up in quite a small town where it was just me. So I don't know, I just didn't really think about it. It's not that I didn't think, it's not that I thought I was white. I just didn't think about it.
What hairstyle did you choose?
As a kid, it was, yeah, bobbles, puffs, whatever was put into, and then years of braiding, back to back braiding, because I just wanted straight hair, and it was to blend. I just wanted to blend in. Didn't want to stand out. Didn't want people touching my hair. Just blend, get through the day. So yeah, braiding on braiding on braiding until mid-20s when I stopped. It's a good day, very freeing.
The question was, what's your earliest memory? I'd say my earliest memory would be when my mum used to relax my hair. Because my mum started relaxing my hair when I was in year 6. And I think at year 6, how old would I be?
You would be
10.
10 years old.
Yeah, so very young.
9, 10.
So I'd say that was definitely a cool memory because I didn't like relaxing my hair. I think because I just thought it was weird. That was just my mindset at the time. But at first, I didn't like it because I liked how straight my hair was. But again, I didn't really know what kind of hair texture I had. I didn't know if I had curls. But in a Somali household, it's very common for at least every single child to have different hair textures and different curl patterns. So I was the only one getting the hair relaxed. My sister never had the hair relaxed, but she had looser curls, and I had more tighter curls. So that's one of the reasons why my mum was relaxing my hair, but she was also relaxing her own hair, and my aunties were. So I think we're also a thing. Yeah, so that I would say is a cool memory. And I'll never forget, I was in year 9, and I was in the canteen and I was going to get some food, and somebody said, "Oh, your hair looks nice." I don't think she actually meant it. I think, and then she asked me, what did I do to my hair? And I think it was obvious that she was trying to ask if I had relaxed my hair, because obviously my hair was really straight. And, you know, as someone who is black and doesn't, have straight hair, I think I just knew it. And you just have that feeling. And I was so embarrassed to say that I relaxed my hair. So I just said, straighten it. And I just kept it moving. And ever since that day, I was like, I don't want to ever relax my hair again. Like, I don't like it. To me, and it's like, yeah, now. So I was in secondary, yeah, 14, maybe 15. And then I just stopped. And I told my mom, yeah, I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
And she said, like, it's up to you. It is like, you're old enough to make that decision for yourself. So yeah, I started relaxing it. And that wasn't like the beginning of like my natural hair journey. It was literally the beginning of me doing everything under the sun.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, I started dyeing my hair. Like, one of my friends, remember, I used to dye my hair reds. I used to dye my hair. I used to go black all the time, and I just didn't really care. I was just focused on the style of my hair, making sure my hair looked, back in the day with that slicker hair back, low bun or a high bun. I was even doing a quiff back then as well, which
Oh, okay.
um, yeah, I think actually for pictures, I'll show you how I find them. But I used to do like clips, and I don't know if you remember, like, start off with this specific clip in different colors. It's like a skinny one, and I used to use that, and I used to clip it up to bring the fun up.
Yeah.
But that was a style that a lot of us was doing in school. But I don't feel like growing up I felt discriminated against from my hair texture or my hair. I think maybe because the schools that I went to was I had people from different parts of Africa, people from the Caribbean. Yeah, so for me, I don't feel like I experienced that. But I think internally, what I was experiencing is that hatred towards my hair. And I think it's because I had the idea of having afro hair or curly hair wasn't really a nice thing. And I think also that could be due to the fact that within Somali culture, there's this term that they like to use, which is Gillette, which means soft. And that's associated to those who have more silkier, maybe straighter hair. And to be honest, no one in my house ever discriminated anyone against it, but I think within the culture it's very much embedded. So I kind of did hear about that. So maybe that kind of, played a part in the way I felt about my hair. But I think the main thing was because I did not know anything about my hair. I was relaxing for so many years. I was just doing styles. So, yeah.
I think it's quite interesting how, like, doing his first memory, like, most first memory is, like, relaxing. And I guess the whole question is, like, I was just thinking while you guys were talking is that, I guess some mothers did that so it's easier for us to manage our hair. And it's just one other product. But there's obviously the stigma that, obviously, relax is quite bad. However, could someone say that actually it's just like any other products that helps you manage, just like a conditioner, helps you get through your hair, makes it easier. So then is a relaxer not just kind of like the same? I think all the other products are toxic in certain ways. This probably no product unless it's 100% natural. That's like not toxic. And so I'm not just relaxing on it. It's actually in a good way because if your mother hadn't relaxed your hair at an early age, then maybe you'd be more in pain because of like, combing through the hair and your curls, etc.
I'm going to say no. I'm not usually that black and white about it, but I'm going to say no because conditioners condition your hair. They're doing something, whereas relaxer, to me, it's just damaging. It's just, that's all it is. It's damaging your hair to get it to a certain texture. Whereas a conditioner is nourishing your hair, a shampoo is cleaning your hair, but a relaxer is just damaging. And I think it just plays into the African black hair, Afro hair texture. It's hard to manage. When the one thing I keep reiterating is it's not hard to manage. You just have to figure it out. Like anything else, you just have to learn. You didn't know how to walk until you learned. You just have to learn and then you build on it from there. It's not hard to understand or manage. You just need to work it out, really. So no, I don't think relaxers help or are necessary.
That was my initial gut reaction as well. No. But I think they're almost a necessary evil. to get us to where we are now, where we're a little bit more enlightened. And I'll tell you why. Because if relaxers didn't exist, because of the weight of colonialism, post-colonialism, I'm not saying colonialism is everything, but because of its weight on, especially in the West, and the demonization of black hair, if it wasn't relaxers, it would have been something else. We had the hot combs. So if it wasn't relaxers, it would have been hot combs, it would be something, and anything that takes our texture from one extreme to another is damaging. But I think the desire was for assimilation, because relaxer is not its Yoruba culture, it's definitely not Somali culture, and it's not American culture until Madam C.J. Walker created it either. And the purpose behind it, so it's not just a product, the purpose behind it wasn't to treat our hair. The main purpose was conformity. I think we can all agree that that was the main purpose of relaxers. And we needed a certain level of conformity, sadly, in order for us to be able to engage in certain circles to benefit our community. Do I think that it put us back when in terms of learning about our hair? 100%. Losing a lot of our cultural practices with our hair? 100%. But I think if it wasn't a relaxer, it would have been something else. So do I think that it's necessary? Do I think that it was a good thing or just like another product? No, because there's levels to it. It's a lot deeper than everything else. Do I think that it was the best thing for us to do? No, but it would have happened anyway. So yeah, that's my opinion on it.
Also, I just wanted to add, not onto this question, but going back to my mothers and daughters, one thing I do miss a lot was when my mum used to do my hair. I think nothing beats, getting your hair done by your mum, sat on the floor between her legs, talking about it. If you know, you know. And I think that was like cool, like you're in the
It's
room.
soft.
And
Yeah.
I just feel like, and I just feel like I would love to experience that again. I mean, I can ask my mom anytime to do my hair, but it would never be the same as like when we was younger. And it was like a Sunday before school, you'd get your hair done, I remember mom used to like straighten my hair, or the styles that my mom used to do was like a lot of like, I don't know what you call it, like maybe
High puff?
yeah, like she would give me like one puff there, one puff there, or, like the individual ones.
Different, like, accessories
Yeah,
to
different
go with it.
accessories, and I know some of us might have had like a traumatic experience getting our hair done with our mothers or our aunties or maybe our elder sisters, but I think sometimes like I just remember I personally feel like even though my mom was relaxing my hair, I really did enjoy those moments, and I know that she was only doing it to care for and to love my hair and encourage that. Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we can't always fault our mum for this. Sometimes
No.
it's just what they've been taught. But yeah,
We're
it was
still
very
learning.
yeah, exactly. We're still learning, and it's important that we continue to learn so the
Yeah.
generations to come have different experiences, maybe better experiences, but there's always going to be love between
Yeah.
a mother and a daughter when it comes to hair care.
Yeah. I think that's like the root of the question I was gonna ask. Like, at this point, a new guest walked into the room.
I'll speak a bit about my like research, but specifically because you guys are talking about mums, I'll say a bit about that. So I'll introduce myself.
Yes.
Hi, I'm JK. I am a writer, a researcher, and a hair artist, just like an all-round lover of hair. So my research is into the ways that like black hair is into the way that black hair practices have evolved like throughout history, and how the art of black hair is like a lot more structured and like theoretical than it just being like a artistic or creative expression. So like looking at different patterns that have followed throughout the ways that we style black hair. But because you guys are talking about mums, and I always think about like where the site of my love for hair comes from, one with my mum, but then also with my auntie at her salon. The like ritual based elements of like greasing the scalp and like that being a site of like safety, especially for like young black girls, like being in between your mum's legs, her opening up your scalp, putting like blue magic or just grease or oil in it, and that being like one like a therapeutic practice between mother and daughter, but also being like a space of like nurturing that kind of equips you with the skills that, or like with the skills that you need to then like go off and do it for yourself and look after yourself. But I think about like how that is rooted in our history and like the ingredients that come from where we come from. So like shea butter, the castor seed plant, and how the relationship between our hair and nature, like, or hair and nature, has always been like deeply entangled. Like we think about roots, the roots of a plant, and like the roots of our scalps, and like how there is like so much synergy between the two. And even just like cornrows, like parting the hair, the language of cornrow or cane row, how that evolved from like enslavement, and like just the imagery of cornrows and cane rows. And yeah, just like how black hair has been like so important throughout history as like a act of survival and as an act of like cultural preservation. So yeah, just a lot of research around hair and just enjoying it, and like making hair be like really interactive, and allowing myself to like kind of take on that like maternal role sometimes with my nieces and my nephews, like when I do their hair as well, has been like a really healing like spiritual practice for me. So yes, thank you.
Okay, we were getting kicked out at this point. I really, really enjoyed this episode, this conversation with these amazing, knowledgeable ladies. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Do leave a comment wherever you're listening to this, and also on my socials. It really does help. Thank you very much for my guests that have come all the way and participated and engaged in this conversation with me. I've been your host, Zainab. See you next time. Until then, Sarah's okay.